A medium is a bridge maker, someone who functions as a bridge between worlds, between this physical world and the world of the spirits. And how the medium does that is through communicating with the loved ones in spirit or the spirit guides and sharing the information with the loved ones here in this physical world. Welcome to the Seeing in the Dark podcast, the podcast for the women of the ancient futures. Women that see beyond eyes and know beyond mind and are here to make a change from a deep communion with the mystery of life. Seeing in the Dark is about walking paths that have not been walked before and daring to show up for the mission and dream life that is knocking on your door. My name is Nicole Nyima Costerus, mystic, medium, initiated priestess, and here to take you into the mysteries of purpose, power, ritual, and intuition. May you embody your own unique essence so deeply that your vibration naturally teaches, inspires, and assists others. Let's dive in. Hi everyone. This is my second take of recording this podcast episode because I was looking on the screen and I was like, what happened to my hair? It's so interesting because you might or might not know that I had my head shaved last year in Benin, West Africa, during my first initiation into African Vodou with my Voodoo mother. I will link the episode below where you can hear about the whole story about how I met her and how a tourist trip turned into a complete initiation into Voodoo priestesshood for me. Something that was unplanned, something that I did long for a long time. And then suddenly it happened through a set of crazy but beautiful synchronicities. So I've been growing my hair back since last year, February 2023. And as you can see, my curls are slowly coming back, but sometimes I go through these crazy lengths and I don't know what to do with my hair. But okay, we're not here to talk about my hair. We are here on this week's episode on the podcast to talk about mediumship. What is mediumship? This is the question for this week. I love talking about this topic because when I started my journey developing my mediumship, I had a really big resistance towards mediums. I thought they were airy-fairy. I thought they were vague. I was really skeptical about what they were doing and how they were doing it. And I remember back then on the television, there were mediums at work that, I don't know, I was just feeling a little bit skeptical about the whole profession. I never thought I would end up actually becoming a medium myself. And I want to talk about this today because mediumship, I very much believe, is something that we are invited to study deeply before we come into this profession of sharing the work with readings. Whether it's sharing your readings in your profession as a coach, or whether you weave it into being a lawyer, or you work at a bank, or whether you are a spiritual teacher, it doesn't really matter where you use your psychic abilities or mediumship. I believe that it needs to come from an educated place. And this is one of the big misunderstandings that are present in this field because I so often see mediums say, I'm a medium naturally, so I don't have to develop it. And I remember one of the first things my teacher taught me was, when you have a talent for soccer, you also need to train in order to develop its full potential. And not only that, mediumship is a big responsibility, right? I so often got people in my readings that say, I went to a medium and he or she told me I have to leave my husband. Or he or she told me that I have to do this, this, and this. And I get so upset with that because I don't think it's the medium's position to tell you what to do. I don't think it's anybody's position to tell you what to do. But okay, more about that in a moment. What is mediumship? What is a medium? A medium is a bridge maker, someone who functions as a bridge between worlds, between this physical world and the world of the spirits. And how the medium does that is through communicating with the loved ones in spirit or the spirit guides and sharing the information with the loved ones here in this physical world. Yeah, so being a medium is about being a bridge between those worlds, about connecting the seen with the unseen worlds through the power of our psychic abilities, our psychic senses. Mediumship is the practice of channeling or bringing forward loved ones from spirit. Now, I've been specifically trained in a modality that is called evidential mediumship. What is the difference between mediumship and evidential mediumship is that this modality focuses on becoming really specific in the type of information that you share with your client or with your audience. What does that mean? When I, for example, make a connection with a father in spirit, I will not just say, hey, your father is here and he tells you that he loves you. No, in the modality of evidential mediumship, you can learn to connect with the loved one in spirit, bring a loving message forward, but very much also be very specific about what this father's life was like. What was the illness or the way that he passed away? What type of profession did he do? What was the relationship with his children? Why is he coming forward now today? Like very, very specific information. I'm talking so specific that I had teachers that could share phone numbers, license plates, addresses, places where they lived. Very, very specific information. Now, why is that important, you might wonder? I experienced that at the receiving end very soon, that when I would hear some very specific information about my loved one in spirit, it would let the message that would come after that being received so much deeper inside of me. Yeah, because when someone would tell me very specific information about my grandmother that nobody else really could know, then after that the message received from my grandmother lands so much deeper. Also because I had so much skepticism and like annoyed feelings towards mediums that are just being really fake and airy-fairy, I wanted to, if I then needed to become a medium, I wanted to do it really well and go into a very, solid study around it. And this is something I love. I don't know if you went to my website ever on the About page and you scroll all the way down, you'll see a whole list of studies that I went through. And one of the things that list of studies might show, at least that's what I find really important, is that whatever I'm sharing in the work that I carry out with women of ancient futures, that is carried in deep studies, in initiations, in spending years and years and years with my teachers. I think one of the problems in this field in the New Age these days, and I spent the last 20 years in this field, I was 18 when I started developing my intuition, when I went to my spiritual path and all those things. What I've seen changed in the New Age over the last 20 years is that it has become a little bit of a jungle. And I love this field of work. I don't know what else to do. I really love, and I'm in the right field. However, I see that there is also a problem, many problems, but one of them is that people do one workshop or one training and they think they can create like a facilitation training around it. Or they drink one time ayahuasca in a ceremony and they think they can facilitate it to others. And I really want to stand for quality. And quality in the way we study and before we feel the moment is there to start to carry out the work. And that's what I did with mediumship. So I started developing in 2012 with my teacher in a 3-year training with an in-depth study into evidential mediumship. And after those 3 years, I didn't stop. Every year I would go through some form of training or education to deepen my experience and to deepen my studies with mediumship. Now, didn't I have already a sensitivity with the spirit world before my studies? Absolutely, I did. Did the potential of my intuition amplify times 1,000 since I went into my studies? Yes. Not only that, I'm also much more educated and aware of the ethics around the way we offer information to clients. I'm also much more aware on how to communicate certain information. So this is all that I see as something really important to keep the quality in the New Age community, of the work that we are carrying out as coaches, mentors, body workers, and facilitators. Now, why am I sharing all of this today? Because we were talking about what is mediumship, right? Mediumship, besides this really practical practice, you could almost say, it's also about a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle in which you really stand for connecting the seen and the unseen worlds together. It's a lifestyle where you stand for that the unseen worlds are actually real and they exist. Now, back in the days, this was a practice that was very much only in the hands of the chosen ones, the mediums, the special ones, so to speak. But in today's society, in today's humanity, it's not so much only for the chosen ones and the special ones anymore, because you might have heard me talk about this often in other episodes or in other trainings that you've been with me. We are moving into different times, in different times where there is more transparency in our energy. So we feel each other more. At times where there is more connection to our intuition and to our psychic abilities. So what used to be back in the days, mediumship, something for the special ones and the chosen ones only, and the normal people, so to speak, would go to the mediums because they cannot do it themselves. We are moving now towards a time where everybody has access to these qualities within. Everybody has access to their psychic abilities. Everybody has access to the medium inside of you. Now, you might also sometimes hear about psychics. What is the difference between a medium and a psychic? A medium is someone that has psychic abilities as well, works also with psychic readings, but has a very specific quality of bridging the spirit world with the physical world, meaning mediums can communicate with the spirit world. Psychics use mainly the practice of psychic readings, meaning they work with the energy of people who are alive. They work with the energy of people who are alive, or they work with psychometry, which means the reading of photographs and objects. The reading of photographs and objects is different than the direct connection with the spirit world, because the photograph almost functions as a fingerprint, you could say, a blueprint. So instead of working like a medium would work directly with the energy of a loved one in spirit, a psychic works with it through a picture, through the blueprint. So it's not the alive energy, you could say. So the difference between a medium is that the medium can do the work that a psychic does, but a psychic often doesn't do the work that a medium does, which is the direct alive connection with loved ones in spirit. Now, I'm very much aware that different studies might use these terms in a different way, but this is how I use it in my year training. This is how I use it in teachings, because this is how my teachers also brought it to me. Now, okay. I have a year training, Mystic Medium, in which we are going to dive into a very comprehensive study around mediumship, psychic readings, dream work, and ancient rituals and ceremonies for deep transformation. This is 1 year in which you are going to go and spend that time on developing your psychic abilities and developing your mediumship, and go into that study of the ethics around it. How do you deliver certain messages? How do you know if it's fantasy or if it's real information? How does your clairvoyance work, your clairaudience? How does information come to you? How do you work with the translation of that? Because sometimes it might feel like a lot of information comes to you, but you have no idea how to work with it. If you have fear for the spirits or the unseen worlds, how do you deal with that? If you feel overwhelmed by the amount of information that comes in, or you feel overwhelmed by going into secondhand stores, how can you take care of your energy and your sensitivity? Those are all topics that are part of this year training, Mystic Medium. Now, there is something that changed, because we recently went to the first early bird pricing of the year training, and I started to receive questions about, why is the online training the same price as the in-person training? Because there's 2 groups this year. And I was like, you know what? You're actually right. So we made a small adjustment on the online training, because the in-person training does include lunch, does include a beautiful location in nature. So actually it's really right if there's also a bit of change in price. So if you've been checking it out and you were interested, then know there has been some changes on there. So you can go through the link below this episode, sign up, because we're still in the early bird pricing. The price will go up. I'm still seeing when exactly, because we still have some spots in the early bird offer, but the price will go up somewhere in the coming weeks. Mystic Medium Year Training, I'm super excited. The in-person group is already almost half full. I'm really excited. It's an amazing group coming together, and I can't wait also to come back into the in-person teaching in combination with online is beautiful for me. So what is a medium? It's a bridge maker between the unseen and the seen worlds. What is mediumship? It's that practice of connecting and communicating with loved ones in spirit and spirit guides. Evidential mediumship, specifically the practice of not only communicating and bringing vague information or messages forward, but it's the practice of becoming really, really specific in the type of information that you share with your clients or with your audience. That's something that I want to talk about in the next week's episode. I really want to give you a little bit more of an insight in how I work in front of audiences. You might know this of me, you might not. It's something that I've been in waves, in and out of it, where I don't only offer one-on-one readings to women and not only teach mediumship in my trainings and courses, but I also work on the stage. So I went on to stages of 10 people, but also I've been in audience of 80 people. Coming September, I will actually go on to my first stage of 250 people in the audience. And there is where I bring forward loved ones from spirit, like someone's mother, someone's uncle, someone's friend, someone's child, someone's whoever wants to come forward, and I bring messages from the spirit world in combination with this evidence and very specific information. A beautiful part of the work that I am planning to come into more fully. I'm even now talking with a colleague medium of mine to start doing some big demos online as well. So more about that later. I will also share a bit more on next week's episode about some really beautiful messages from the spirit world that came through in demos like the ones that I'm sharing about now. But for this week, this is it about mediumship. I hope that it has been helpful. Let me know. And the link is below for the Mystic Medium Year Training. In-person group is almost half full. Online group, still enough spots. I warmly welcome you for this comprehensive study into the mystic arts. Much love. Did you receive any inspiration, motivation, or powerful breakthroughs by listening to this episode? Then please share this episode by taking a screenshot and tagging me in your stories at nicole.nyima.costerus. I would love to celebrate you, share you in my stories, and it would mean so much to have my work reach more powerful, passionate women like you. Thank you so much, and looking forward to see you next week.